It is hard to believe it has been almost 3 months since I left on my trip to Brazil. I had been planning that trip for over a year. People were telling me it was going to be just an amazing adventure, the trip of a lifetime. And I should be getting excited. But the weeks leading up to the trip, I was not excited. I was stressed out. There were mornings where I would wake up and I would say, "Bob, what the hell are you doing? This is insane. You can't do this." Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests. The reason I even made the trip is I have this retirement project I've given myself. I'm trying to write a novel. A lot of the story takes place in Rio de Janeiro. I've never been to Rio de Janeiro. I figured I should go and check it out. However, I do not have a lot of experience in international travel. Apologies to all my friends who ever lived in Canada or like Canada. I don't consider that international travel. Well, I'm sorry. The only real international travel that I've done, after college, I went with my family to France, Belgium, and the Netherlands. About 25 years ago, the company I was working for at the time sent me to Tel Aviv to work in their Israeli office for a couple of months. That's it. But it's enough to realize that there is a difference between visiting a place and experiencing a place. If you go as part of a tour group and you have a tour guide who speaks the local language, interacts with the locals on your behalf, takes you to all the sites, yes, you are visiting a place. And that's what I did when I went to Europe. But when I went to Israel, I had to work in their office with the local employees there. They show me their food. They introduced me to their music. I got to experience their culture. So I knew that with the goals of my trip to Brazil, I had to go to experience the place. Well, that's a problem, not just because of my dearth of international travel experience, which is quite maladroit. There are other roadblocks. First of all, I'm getting up there in age. I am almost as old as John Mason. In fact. Sorry, John. Next month I will be 67 years old. That's just as old as John, right? I got some health problems. It's hard for me to go and explore the area. I'm very limited in that regard. But even a bigger stumbling block, I'm naturally very introverted. I kid you not. It's hard for me to go into a restaurant and strike up a conversation with a stranger. Here, where I speak the language, where I know their culture, I find it hard to do. How the hell am I going to do that off in Brazil? So you can believe me when I say that some of my most memorable experiences were not going to the Christ the Redeemer statue or going to the top of Sugarloaf Mountain, which I did, and that was great. But what I really remember fondly was chatting with a vendor on the beach, chatting with the doorman of the building where my Airbnb apartment was located, chatting with this couple in a restaurant, chatting with a motorcycle mechanic in downtown Rio de Janeiro. You want to know what all those people have in common? None of them spoke English. And my Portuguese is very poor. And yet, we still manage to have effective communication. How did this old, introverted man manage to pull this off? Would you believe it if I said that it was Toastmasters? And would you look at me like I'm crazy, saying, Bob, I know you're always talking about Toastmasters, but come on. Well, let me explain. When I came here 7.5 years ago, that's when I joined this club. And I had just moved to Bellingham. I was trying to overcome my natural shyness. I was trying to improve my interpersonal communication. I wanted to work on my overall social skills. And I was so lucky to find such an amazing club. I have tried to make every meeting on Tuesday night. I cannot remember one single meeting in those 7.5 years when I did not participate in the meeting with some role. What's great about this club is that you can sign up for practically any role you want at any meeting. And if nobody else has signed up, you almost always get it. Furthermore, in the 7.5 years, either I have had a major speaking role, or else I've been able to practice my communication skills through table topics at every single meeting I've been to. And then they give you opportunities to go beyond the club, to meet Toastmasters from all around Washington State. There are speech contests, giving a plug for it right there. Even a Mel joined one. There are speech contests. There are officer trainings, and giving a plug for that. And there are district conferences. You know what is really crazy? If you had told me that 7.5 years ago, when I first came down to Bellingham Evening Toastmasters, that I would be a club officer, hold a major office, that I would get the District 2 Vice President of Education of the Year Award, that I would get a Spark Plug Award, that I would be an area director, that I would be closing in on my 9th educational designation, I would say you're crazy. No way. It is the confidence that I got from my 7.5 years in this club, in Toastmasters, that allowed me to go way outside of my comfort zone. So far, I went all the way to Brazil. I am disappointed when I see good people, they come here and they join our club. And after giving a couple of speeches, they say, okay, I've overcome my fear of public speaking. I could give a technical presentation to my coworkers, and we never see them again. I may not be the most eloquent, the most talented speaker, but I think I'm living proof that the longer you stay with the program, the more benefits that you will reap. It keeps on giving to you. Those who predicted that this would be the trip of a lifetime, they turned out to be correct. But it wasn't a foregone conclusion. This trip was a success, and I have Toastmasters to thank for that. Mr. Toastmaster.